Hello, it is Dina Krogadal, your American Dream Makers host. I have a wonderful guest with me today. His name is Dan Altmire, and he is doing some incredible things. So we will get him on here now. If you are on here watching us live, please go to streamyard.com/Facebook and give StreamYard permission so we can see your comments. We'd love to see who it is that's commenting. And if you can't do that, then at least type in your name after you make the comment. That would be fantastic. And we love to have some interaction, so don't be shy and be sure to ask questions if you have questions. And uh, also share this out. If you're watching this, whether you're watching this live or the replay, please go ahead and share it out because Dan has some great things to share with us. And I want to make sure that everyone else gets to have that information. So I will be right back. All right, we are back and we've got Dan Altmire in the house. Now, listen, Dan Altmire has become a really great friend. I met him on the Grow Live Academy, and then I got to meet him in person last year when we were out in the DC area. And he is such a great guy. He's just all full of love, knowledge, and all the kindness in the world. So you definitely want to get to know Dan. So here he is. Hello, Dan. Good.
Hello, Zena.
It's good to see you.
I've had people introduce me as being full of something, but I don't remember what that was.
Well, you're full of love and kindness. That's what it is. So whatever else they say, it's not true. So tell us, Dan, where are you at? I think you said that there was snow on the ground.
Yeah, I am just north of Washington, D.C. in lovely Damascus, Maryland. And last week we had a couple of semi snowstorms. We hadn't had any snow for 2 years. And any measurable snow for 2 years. And all of a sudden we had two little storms come through. And I think we got maybe about 6 or 7 inches altogether. But it gave me a chance to prove that I could still shovel without getting a heart attack. So.
Well, I'm glad you didn't get a heart attack because I was excited to have you on the show. So I'm really glad that did not happen, Dan. So
would that have been an acceptable excuse?
No, not acceptable at all. I would have killed you. No, in all seriousness, Dan, tell us, we'd love to know about you. Have you lived in the Damascus area for quite some time now?
You know, I was born in Washington, D.C. At the George Washington University Hospital. I'm not going to give you all the details of every day of my life here, but I've been in the DC area pretty much all my life, except when I was away at school. And we moved to Damascus. My wife, Karen, and I moved to Damascus after we've been married for a year. And that was 43 and a half years ago. So we've been here for a long time, and it's a nice little community, and we enjoy it. My wife actually ended up getting a job at the elementary school that's 4 blocks away from us. So it was a very convenient thing for my kids and my wife. So we've been here a long time. Nice little community, famous for the Jimmy Cone ice cream store. So
Jimmy Cone ice cream store. I'll have to try that the next time I'm in that area. Jimmy Cone.
People come from all over to get a Jimmy Cone.
Really? Wow. Now I definitely need to go just make another trip out there so I can experience this, because I
There
don't
you
want to be
go.
left
You're
out.
welcome anytime. Well,
Awesome.
actually, the Jimmy Cone is only open from like April till about October. They shut down when the weather gets cold. So
Oh, well, that's a good gig. Seasonal.
yeah.
That's great. So, Dan, you've been in the area for quite some time. You raised your kids there. So, tell us, what was it like to be raised uh, in that area near the DC area? I mean, how far away are you from the DC area now?
Oh, we're in traffic anywhere between 45 minutes and an hour and a half, depending on the time of day. But we are maybe about 25, 30 miles as the crow flies, as they say.
I
Uh,
see.
and it's being in the Washington D.C. area. There's so many different things that you can do. So many museums, events, uh, important companies, and everything. There's always something to do. Actually, after a while, you start getting jaded and don't go to those things. Uh, and the only time you go is when people come to visit you from out of town. You get to go to these neat places. But
I can understand that. It's kind of like us living in Arizona. You can only see the Grand Canyon so many times. And so now it's become we don't really go unless there's a reason to take somebody else to go.
it's just an example of massive erosion. That's all.
Yeah, that's why it's so grand, right?
Exactly.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. But you're right. I mean, as you've lived in an area for a while, the excitement and the newness wears out. But then it's exciting when you do go again with your friends, and so it's nice to get visitors because I think it gets you out there, and you're like, oh, this actually was fun. How come I haven't been here?
Right. And you can actually act like you know something. It's
There you go. But well, you know
oh,
what,
look
Dan?
over here. Look at this one over here, and yeah, right there, like that. Let me tell you the story behind that. And you sound like you're really smart.
Yes. Well, Dan, you sound like you're really smart pretty much every time I talk to you. So you must put on a really good show because you've got me pretty fooled. So,
Thank you. I guess that's the way to say that. So,
so tell us what you are up to these days. So now you've been in the area 40 some years. Your kids are grown. Um, so what are you up to these days? It's you and your wife, empty nesters. You got grandkids too, right?
I have 7 grandkids,
Wow,
and 6 of them are under 7 and under. So,
that's a fun time.
it is a fun time, and every time you think you're away from diapers, they end up having another one. So it's but grandkids are a wonderful, wonderful gift.
I will hope to experience that one day. So I'm not there yet. I'm kind of in between. So little in between. The kids are grown, but no grandkids yet. So I look forward to joining the grandparent club. And when I do, I'll be sure to call you up and tell you all about it, Dan. So
It's very easy to start a conversation about your grandkids and then just go on forever.
awesome. So okay, so we've got the family dynamics down. And your favorite what is one of the most favorite memories you have of when you were raising your kids? I'm just curious.
You know, I I'm a pretty competitive person. So at one point in my life, I decided my stepfather and my dad both were avid golfers. Um, and I had the opportunity to start playing golf a lot, and decided I rather than play golf, and this is not an indictment on anybody else, but I just decided that that would take me away from my kids too much, because I knew I would become obsessed with, you know, making sure that my pitch was right and that my putting was right and that my drive was straight and everything else. Uh, and that I would have to spend a lot of money on this club and that club. Um, and so I ended up deciding not to get involved in golf, even though business people told me, "Oh, you should be playing golf. It's the greatest place to do business." But I decided I would rather coach my kids in their sports and be able to go to their games after, if I wasn't coaching, and spend time around them and their friends so that I would know who their friends are. And you know, a lot of great memories around coaching. And you know, none of my kids were superstar athletes, but they were just superstar kids, and now they're superstar adults. And uh, you know, gives us all a lot of memories to be able to share, instead of, oh yeah, I remember when Dad went out at 6 o'clock in the morning every Saturday and would come back a little tipsy at about 5. Again, not saying anything about anybody that plays golf. God bless them. It's a wonderful sport, and I wish, you know, uh, them a lot of luck on that. And I wish you know, I still kind of wish, what, probably when I'm 80, I'll start playing golf. Um, but and then at that point you get to go to the short tees and all that kind of stuff. So that's pretty cool. But coaching my kids, I think, is one of the great things that, memories that I have, from spending time with them and everything. I did spend a lot of time at work, beyond that. So, you know, that's the other thing, is that, if I had been spending time going out and doing those other things, I probably would have not spent hardly any time with my family, and that's not good. That was
I'm
a
glad.
long answer. That was a long answer, but
No, I really love that answer because I think, you know, many of us do sometimes come, well, not sometimes, many times we come to that when we have a family, we have to make decisions like that because it is really easy to get distracted and miss those years with your kids and with your family, which is time you cannot get back. Like you mentioned, you can always pick up golf again. That will be there. But the
maybe
time
90. You know,
yeah, maybe. Yeah, maybe they'll let you in for free by then. I'm not sure, but it's kind of like skiing. You know, after 75, they let you go on this ski resort for free, but there's
oh, I
not
didn't
very
know
many
that.
that. Yeah.
I'm closing in on that. I'll have to work on my knees.
Yes, yes. That's probably why it's that age, right? How many people really can do downhill skiing at 75? But um,
Give
anyway,
me
yeah,
give me one of those big, rubber, rubber inner tube things. I'll ski that way.
there you go. The inner tubes. Yes. Yep. That would be fun. That, and you know what? When you do that, let me know. I'd like to be there to video that. So
Well, if we ever get enough snow, you know,
just
uh,
just maybe a couple more storms like you had. Maybe you can.
exactly.
Yeah. No, but seriously, I think, we sometimes when we're in the middle of raising kids, sometimes we don't really think about how fast that time really goes. You think you got them for 18, 20 years or whatever, um, even early 22, 23, whatever it is these days. And we think, gosh, that's a long time. But it's like a blink of an eye that your
Oh
kids
yeah.
are gone. And like I said, you can't get that time back. So I am so glad to hear that you chose your family over golf, and I bet your kids are really glad too. And I bet that they also are spending time with their kids in the manner that you are as well. So good job on setting that example and the
No,
priorities.
thanks. I don't know, I'm kind of famous for dad jokes, so I don't know if they were all that excited about it while I was there, but
Did you write all the dad jokes? Did everybody take them all?
they would spend time like that, to just
Yeah, yeah.
like, but
Yeah, I'm sure, at the moment, kids are embarrassed by their parents, but in the end, when you grow up and you realize how precious it actually is, I think we have a better what's the word I'm trying to find? We have a better
appreciation.
appreciation. There you go. Yes, appreciation when you become an adult, and especially when you have your own kids. You're like, wow, I am so glad. When you realize the sacrifices that your parents have made. So
And, when I hear my kids telling the jokes that I told and
you
getting
know
the
you have a
same
legacy.
and getting the same facepalm reaction from their kids, that's when I know. Uh, I've had an effect. I don't know if that's a positive effect or a negative effect, but it's an effect.
Hey, it's a legacy regardless. So
It
that's
is a legacy. That's for sure.
all right. Well, that's awesome, Dan. Coach Dan, I love it. And I absolutely can understand those memories. My husband and I coached soccer for our kids for a few years, and that was a lot of fun. And some of those kids, as they grew up, they continued to call us coach. And I thought that was pretty cute
Yeah.
because we were no longer coaches anymore, but to them, we were still coach. So that was that. So you just makes you realize what an impact and influence you really can make, even in those uh, just volunteering for our children's programs and athletic stuff and whatever it is. So
Well,
awesome.
the other thing for me was I was, as my kids were getting involved in sports and I was working with them on that. Uh, I was a sales leader at Aflac, the insurance company, and had a team of agents. And I think my coaching of kids was very instrumental and helpful in me coaching adults to better performance and learning how to listen and working with people as an individual and what motivates them, not just as a cog in a system or somebody who has to hit a quota or something like that. So uh, it I got other benefits from it beyond just the time with my kids and their friends. So
Yeah, that's awesome. I'm glad that you mentioned that you learned some in skills, life skills in coaching, and it's leadership. You learned how to lead.
yeah,
Yeah. So, and that is a lifetime thing. So, yes, anybody listening out there, get out there and coach. Sign up. Even if you don't know the sport very well, I think that you can
yeah.
learn.
I was never the greatest coach, even though we won a couple of trophies, not participation trophies, but real trophies. Uh, but I was never the greatest coach, but I think I was the greatest uh, cheerleader
There you
and
go.
bringing them on. So it was, uh, one of the things I learned was that the best players will always be your best players. The way that you get a team to work and be successful as a team is bringing the other players up and their abilities.
Mm, great
That's
lesson.
where the biggest growth of the opportunity is in any team, is bringing the subpar or average players up in their performance, because the 80-20 rule, you're, you're always gonna 20% of the people, you really don't have to coach them that much. uh, You do need to coach them and give them recognition and pat them on the back and help them through the time. But the biggest growth is in that 80%.
That's awesome. I am really glad you shared that because you're right. It is it's not like the star players will be the star players, but the real coaching comes to bringing up the others who are not quite to that level. And that is absolutely, wow, Dan, that is absolutely a leadership skill for sure that applies in all aspects of life. And Dan, so you worked for Aflac for how long?
Um, I was licensed with Aflac. Actually, I'm still licensed with Aflac for 1991. What's that? I was a manager there until the end of 1919. So I spent 2019. I'm not that old.
You look
I
great.
I look good for having spent 30 years someplace in 1919. Yeah. So I spent 17 and a half years as a regional sales coordinator. And then uh, on both ends of that, I was a district sales coordinator for about 4 years. So
Awesome. So what are you up to these days?
what am I up to these days? I've been in financial services and planning since I left the bus business in 1987. And I have uh, always had a lot of, I've always wanted to help people. And when I got into working with Aflac, it was because I foresaw the fact that, back when I started with Aflac, when I started in the financial services business, people had deductibles of $50 and $100 on their health insurance. $100 deductible was like, wow, you have that really lousy insurance. Um, now, now people have $5,000 and $10,000 deductibles on their health insurance, and I foresaw that coming, and I said people are going to need something that, because Americans don't necessarily save real well. So people are going to need something to fill that gap. And, Aflac was providing great programs and at work. And I thought this is a perfect way to fill a need that people are going to have. And I spent many years doing it myself and leading other people to bring that solution to the workplace. But when in 20 right I decided I was going to go in a different direction. I didn't know what that direction was at the end of 2019. Um, and I said, I'm gonna search for what I want to do. Maybe I want to be a sales trainer. Maybe I want to be a business coach. Maybe I want, I don't know, but I know that I'm going to find it. And so I just felt like I needed something new and a different direction to go in. So I went in a whole lot of different things. Joined the Grow Live Academy. All those really neat people in there, and I was doing walking with the guru broadcasts on a day-to-day basis, and I was going out walking and sharing different ideas with people and interviewing people and everything. And while I was doing that, I was still trying to find my new passion. And my passion basically became helping people adjust to retirement and longevity. And looking at that was around the whole idea of long-term care planning, because I saw so many people who were unfortunately not prepared for the eventuality that, oh my gosh, I might get sick. Oh my gosh, I might not, I, I think it was Joe Soto one time in a mastermind that I was at, asked the question, how old do you think you're going to live to be? Zena, how old do you see yourself living till?
Boy, that is always a hard uh, answer, because where you see yourself and what actually happens may not actually be the same. But I hope to live to be, a good late 80s or 90s for sure. I don't know if I want to reach 100, but somewhere in there.
Okay, so let's just say you say 90.
Okay.
Okay, and how do you see yourself at 89?
I see myself hopefully still vibrant and walking around. I hope to be able to just be vibrant until the day I'm not.
Exactly, and that's the way all of us say, "Well, I'll probably live to be 85. I'll probably live to be 102, whatever." But you think you're going to be, everything's going to be hunky dory all the way through until boom, the last minute. Now, my stepfather, God rest his soul, passed away at the end of 2019. He was 97 and a half years old. Um, and up until the last 3 months of his life, he was very vibrant and everything. He was literally going to uh, uh, take his car into the shop for a tune-up at 97 and a half. Okay.
Wow.
Taking his car in, and he slipped and fell in his apartment and broke his hip.
Oh,
Um, and when the guys came to pick him up, he was in a community, and uh, he hit the emergency button thing, and they came to get him. He said, "Call my girlfriend and tell her not to pick me up at the thing." He was 97 and a half. He had a 77-year-old girlfriend.
wow.
So and unfortunately, the surgery and everything caused some other complications, and he deteriorated rather quickly after that. But he was sharp up until the end, and that's what we all think. Oh, that's what I'm going to be. But the reality is, a lot of people develop other things that may affect their health. The longer you live, the more time these little things have to happen inside of you, whether it be mentally, dementia, Alzheimer's, Parkinson's, things like that, or whether it be heart problems, strokes, whatever. Different things can happen that can affect your ability uh, to be independent. And so the key for success, I'm writing a book. I've got another book coming out. We'll talk about that maybe in a couple minutes. But I'm writing another book about that will hopefully be out by the end of the year, about longevity and having getting the most out of the rest of your life. And there's three components to that I focus on. One is um, uh, embracing your destiny. Everybody has a destiny. Doesn't matter what you've done before. God made you to do something today and tomorrow. Okay, there's still something else for you to do, and the key is finding that and embracing that destiny. And that's kind of my new passion, is helping people find their destiny uh, and move on with that. The second principle as you age is looking at what is the legacy that you're going to leave. And you talked about legacy earlier. And that legacy, um, I'm in the financial services business, and so all the insurance people and investment advisors, when they talk about legacy, that's how much money are you going to leave? But money goes away. Usually, it lasts 1 or 2 generations after people pass on. But if you write a book, if you have made an impact on your family, if you have um, left other things for legacy for your family or for the world, then you've got something that lives on and on and on and on and on. I've gotten into doing ancestry research through ancestry.com, and I've got like all these things of my family and my wife's family and my in-laws, my kids, spouses, families, and stuff like that. Just seeing where we all interact and everything. What what you can see is how the legacy works over time, and it's something that you really need to be cognizant of as you age. What am I leaving? There's nothing wrong with leaving money, but there are things that are more valuable that you can leave.
Yeah.
And then the third area in aging and longevity is dignity. Are you going to live with dignity? And that is about preparation for the bad things that might happen. And are you prepared? Do you have a plan in place? Do you have a will? Do you have advance directives? Do you have funding for care? Oh, well, my kids will take care of me. Well, are they on board with that? I mean, that they love you and they want to take care of you, but do you want them to quit their job? And that's fine if they do, if that's the plan. But what's your plan? And so, having a plan for your dignity, if you don't end up like my stepfather, going to 97 and a half and going to take your car to by the way, he was in a senior community and he had a car and he was a man. Okay. So he was like the 16-year-old with a Corvette at high school.
That's how he got the
70. Most popular guy on campus. So
that's how he got the 77-year-old girlfriend.
Probably, the prom queen. So we're not all that lucky and or fortunate or planned. He was a good planner too, but there's a lot there, and it's become my passion. In the Bible, it says that the lifespan of a person, says a man, but the lifespan of a person is 120 years. And it also says that in ancient Hindu scriptures too. So, I would like to strive to make it to 120 and be vibrant and vital all the way through that process. But there's a lot that you need to do to make sure that happens. And having a plan is doesn't mean it's going to be the solution to everything, but at least it's a starting point for where you can go. So
that's great. I'm glad that you're on this mission to help others plan for their future and think about leaving a legacy other than money. Because you hit a really good point, because so many think that leaving a legacy is just money. I got to build this portfolio and I got to do this. And for those that drive that way, they would have put golf before coaching their kids because they're like, I'm loving my kids, right? Well, their motivation may be different because they feel like I'm trying to provide a future for my children, so this is important, so everyone has different, I guess, value system and how they see things. But you're right, that only lasts so long. Whereas, you're coaching with your kids, you left a legacy of absolutely pouring into them, being there and being a role model and having that influence and that time in pouring into your children, and then now they pour into your children, and obviously it happens because you're telling me that they tell your dad jokes, so obviously that influence is there because they didn't just pick up the dad jokes, they picked up other things from you as well. And so I really love that you are helping people to see that picture, to see, okay, let's take a look here and let's see what's lasting and where do you want to go with this? And because you're right, a lot of people don't want to sit there and talk about it. I mean, who wants to plan their funeral? Who wants to plan that? There's just things that you just don't want to think about or talk about. So, Dan, so you mentioned that you are um, writing a book, correct?
I have one book that will be out this quarter,
Okay.
and it's at the editor right now, and it's about long-term care planning. I started off writing my book about legacy and embracing your destiny, and of course having a plan for dignity. And what I realized was the most important part of that on a triage basis was having that plan in place. So I put the other big project off to the side and said, I need to get this out right away. And so I'm going back and forth with my editor as to what the title's going to be. But we expect to have it in print by the end of this quarter. And I'm real excited about it. In fact, we have a report that my team put together on dementia planning that I would like to offer to anybody who wants it. You can see that there. Oh, there it is, right there. Free report on dementia planning. By the way, my company is Champion Human Capital, and I started that back in 1991, and we've been around doing employee benefits for a long time, but focus on our long-term care focus now. But we are now a certified dementia-focused practice. So that's a big part of the planning that we work on. And so if you go there and get the free report, I'll keep your information. And as soon as my book is out, I'll send you an email and let you know. Anybody that does sign up for this report, I'll give you a very special offer and a signed copy of my book. So,
Oh, awesome. This sounds like a great resource here because so many people are affected with dementia, whether it's themselves or family members or loved ones. And so this is great. Dan, thank you so much for sharing this. And I put the link into the chat as well. So, so our viewers can click on it and get this free report. Dan, that is great. I am so glad that you are on this mission to really help others in this time of need, because the resources, it's getting better, but it's still sometimes difficult for people to find and to even understand. So I really appreciate that you are.
Well, here's a really interesting thing, Zena, and that is, in the history of long-term care, it went to a point where the long-term care insurance policies came out, and all of a sudden the long-term insurance company plans started getting rate increases and all this other stuff. And so a lot of people still think that's what happens with long-term care plans. And the whole long-term care insurance industry has evolved and changed, and there's so many different options now that even people who've been turned down before may still be able to get one of the newer policies that are out there. In fact, my team has a program that just came over from the United Kingdom, where we can actually cover people who are in a nursing home or in care or have 2 out of 5 ADLs or have dementia or whatever. We can actually cover them in this program. So it's a really, really exciting time to offer these plans and offer solutions, because there are multiple solutions now. It's not just you can get this or you can't get this, it's a tapestry of opportunity. So if anybody out there listening to this thinks, oh, I'm too sick, or or my spouse is too sick, or my mom's too sick, or my dad's too sick, my Aunt Amy is too sick, check it out. Let's talk.
Yeah, that's great, Dan. So how can someone get a hold of you?
There's a link on that link that I just gave you that where people can actually schedule a time with me. You can go to our website at championhumancapital.com. That's Champion Human Capital, capital with a CAPITAL, like in money, capital, not capital like Washington, D.C. So
Okay,
.com. And you can schedule a time to meet with me there.
Okay, I'm going to put this into the place here. So championhumancapital.com.
Yep.
And make sure that we can show that's right there. And I will put that into the chat. Did I spell it right?
You did.
Oh, good.
You're a champion.
I try to be. So
you are. I love following you and watching you and all the things that you're doing and accomplishing. So
thank you, Dan. That's very, very sweet of you. I am so glad that you joined us today on American Dream Makers, because I do believe that the American dream belongs to all of us. And not only can you achieve it, but you can go beyond. And Dan, you are absolutely showing us that that is a true statement, because not only have you achieved the American dream, but look at you. You are helping others to achieve that dream and leaving a legacy behind. And that is part of the American dream as well. So thank you, Dan, so much for all that you have done and contributed to our human society, our culture, all of that. So before we take off, and this time, it goes by so fast, but before we take off, is there any last things that you would like to leave us with?
Yeah. And it kind of goes back to something I said before, and that is, if you look at the Bible, it said in Jeremiah, it says, I knew you in the womb. Okay. And I had a plan for you. You have a destiny. Find your destiny and embrace your destiny.
Love it. Love it. And that is so true, that while you were in your mother's womb, a plan was already made. We just have to embrace it, discover it, and live it. And in that is when we find true joy and happiness. It's not searching for all these other things, but living in that destiny that was already created for you. Beautiful, Dan. Oh my goodness. See, You had me fooled, right? You said, some people think I'm smart. Well, I totally think you're very smart and very wise. And the glasses really help too because it makes you look really, really smart. So um, thank you once again. And everyone, please go to championhumancapital.com. It's in the chat. Also, get your free dementia report. That is a great, great resource. And
There's a
get
link on that. There's a link on that website to that report
as
too.
well, the championhumancapital.com. Okay, so if you can't remember the other link, go to championhumancapital.com. Get a hold of Dan, and if you are in the area, let him know because maybe he'll take you to that what was it called, Jimmy Cone?
Jimmy Code.
Jimmy Cone.
Jimmy Code. Yeah, well, that's certainly one thing I passed on to my kids is the love of Jimmy Code. So,
Well, that's probably a good thing. I'll have to experience that myself to see. But I'm guessing that so far you've told me some really great truthful things. So I imagine that this Jimmy Cone thing is truthful as well. So and I hope they have the flavor that I like. So, we'll see.
it's
So
it's an experience, whatever flavor you eat.
okay, well, that's good to know. That's good to know. Well, Dan, thank you again, and we will see you the next time. And have a wonderful day. And we'll say goodbye for now.
Bye bye.
You guys, thank you so much for joining us here on American Dreammakers. And what a great time we had with Dan Altmire. Please be sure to share this out, especially if you are watching this on the replay and you found some value. Please get this out because his resources and his book that's coming out is going to be so helpful for so many. So I want to say goodbye. Have a wonderful day, and we will see you later.